in the place that I grew up in. So I grew up on the South Side, went to St. Rita High School, and then I went to Illinois State. That's where I did my undergrad, and that's actually where I met Coach Moser, our head coach, who he came on as I was working there, and I was actually his head manager working for him, and I knew I wanted to be involved in the game. I loved basketball, throughout high school, throughout as a youth, and I wanted to be around the game, and I knew as a player I was fairly limited, so. My cousin was actually one of the people that told me, why don't you think about going to a Division I school and working for the team, and just kind of meet coaches and connect that way. And it worked out great. It was all seniors and when I was a freshman. And then at the time we didn't have director of basketball operations and video coordinators and special assistants. And now there's like 14 jobs, on a bench for all those. They didn't have all those. So even as a manager, I was doing, I did all our film editing. I did all our film exchange. I was helping out with road trips and practices. I did a little bit of everything. So from there, I was able to actually get a job with the Memphis Grizzlies. Our Tony Baroni was a great college coach, and he coached the Memphis Grizzlies for a while. He was a director of the player personnel at the time. His son was Brian Baroni, who I worked with at Illinois State. They helped me get on with the Grizzlies. I did a internship in basketball operations. Really cool experience just to work through the NBA. I helped them out a lot through the NBA draft process as well, like bringing guys in and working them out. That was a year they drafted OJ Mayo, but Kevin Love was a part of that groups of guys that we brought in. It was a really cool experience. And from there, I got Coach Moser at the time. By this time, had gone over to work for Coach Majerus at St. Louis University. Coach Moser called me up and said, "Hey, we have an operations spot open in here." So I got a chance. I couldn't turn down a chance to work for a Hall of Famer like Coach Majerus. Worked for Coach Majerus for 3 years. And then Coach Moser got the head job here at Loyola, and I was lucky enough to have him bring me with him, and I got a chance to move back where I'm from, back home. My family's from here, and got a great setup here. It's an unbelievable school. It's obviously the basketball program has grown leaps and bounds since we've got here. It's taken a long process to really build in Coach Moser's culture and what we have going on here. And it's been an awesome ride so far that hopefully isn't stopping anytime soon. So I guess I kind of wanted to throw in a couple different things of what I was doing. I'm going to try to share the screen with a couple different things. I'll throw on. I don't know how much you guys know about our school. I'll just throw you. I'm just going to throw a couple pictures and stuff up of just what we have and what we have here on campus. It's pretty special spot. We're located on the north side of Chicago, about as far north as you can go in the city. Let me see if I can do this correctly. Okay, hopefully you can see that here. And this is a little bit of our campus and what we have here. Again, it's a high-level education. We were actually tied with Harvard for #1 in the country in graduation success rate for our student athletes. So it's an outstanding education. The people you'll meet will help you, for years down the road. We have being in Chicago is just a huge advantage, I think, for us, in that the city just really embraces Chicago, sports and what it's about. It's a blue collar city. During that Final Four run, the whole city got behind it. You can kind of see that picture of, just our buildings and, how much the city got behind us and was really supporting us. And then the media and everything here is obviously you see all the different newspapers were totally behind us and really loved what we were doing. This is just a picture of our campus. Like I said, we're all the way up on the north side of Chicago. The whole campus sits right on the lake. We actually have our own beach on campus, but it's a beautiful campus. You really don't think when you think, all right, Loyola in Chicago, you're thinking huge buildings and everything. We're actually tucked away on the lake. So you get a nice private, quiet campus up here. It's a nice camp. You get the campus life. The city's, just down the road on Lakeshore Drive, but you get the campus life, which I think is important. You kind of get the best of both worlds. And there's just a bunch of different things about the school. And I'm not going to go too deep into all of it, but it's a lot of really, beautiful stuff that we have. And once you get to the athletics portion, we've pumped so much money into it. A lot of schools are kind of hurting even during this pandemic and everything, but we've really, been very fortunate to have a great financial system that's going on and money pumping in. This is just our weight room here, our training room. And then this is our arena, Gentile Arena, where we play. It holds just over 5,000, and it is packed every single night, especially after the run through the Final Four. You can just see just a great home court advantage of just people really come out and really support the team, especially, being here in Chicago. They actually just opened this right here. It's a brand new $20 million practice facility. That's it just opened last year for the first time. So our guys are constantly in the gym working. We have gym rats, guys that love to get in the gym and work. And this practice facility we think is a huge game changer for us. It's state of the art. There's NBA like TV working stations in there. So we've been able to really grow the program and the players, using these different tools that we have. And this practice facility was a huge piece. So I didn't know how much you guys really knew about Loyola, so I kind of wanted to show you guys that before I got started. The thing I was going to talk about here is transition offense. I'm going to open up another window here. Let's see if I can do this correctly again. All right, so here I'm as talking about our transition offense and what we do. We were number one in the country. Let me see, that's here in transition offense. And that's our transition field goal percentage, adjusted field goal percentage. We were the number one team in the country according to Synergy in terms of offense and getting up the floor and attacking. That's really a big mindset. It's what we preach, and whenever you say, all right, transition offense, who wants to run? Coaches want to run, players want to run, everybody wants to get up and down the floor and do that. But how do you promote it? How do you push it? One way that we, really put a huge emphasis on is in practice, no matter what drill we're doing, we'll do shell drills. And the shell drill is, a lot of times you do shell, it's just a half court drill. We're just staying in the half court defense. If at any point our guys get a turnover, they're allowed to transition back to offense. So anytime we get anything where it's like, all right, deflection, steal, we're gone. Even if it's a half court drill and we're staying on one side, we're telling the guys, get used to that mindset of we're attacking. Reason for that is our league, Missouri Valley Conference, is an unbelievably good defensive league, especially in the half court. Like, the teams take you out of what you want to do. It's an unbelievably well scouted league. It was up until the last NCAA tournament. Bradley ended up losing to Michigan State, who had him on the ropes the whole game. But prior to that, the Valley had won their 10 previous first round matchups. That's 10 teams come in and play in the first round, and they win that matchup in the NCAA tournament. Now, you had 2 Final Four berths with us and Wichita State in there, Northern Iowa Sweet 16 appearance. Our league has done very well, once they get into the tournament and play against the bigger foes, because it's really well scouted. So the teams in our league take away what you want to do. How do you get easy baskets? Transition's a great way to do it. So we really promote that in practice. If we're doing, a possession drill where it's like, all right, some call it like offense, defense. All right, one team's playing offense and they transition back to defense. Even if we're just going up and down one possession, if that team gets a turnover, they're allowed to transition back to offense and get an extra point. Our shell drill, we'll play, it's like or you got to get stops, but you can still get an extra point if you get a steal and turn it into a transition basket. So that's kind of the mindset that we're constantly telling our guys. If we can get steals, we can get that. We can get easy baskets. That's one way we push and promote it. And by the way, if at any point, Reagan or anybody has a question, let me know. one of my first times doing it like this. So let me know if there's any questions as we go. The biggest, like I said, with your transition offense, that's mainly going to come a lot of times from your defense. How can you get stops? How can you, because you're not going to be able to have a great transition offense and push the pace when you're taking the ball taking the ball out underneath the basket every single time. So, the different ways that we do that with our defenses, and a lot of these come from little terms and phrases that Coach Majerus had, back when I worked from him. He would say following the gates hustle. That's one of our biggest ways. And I got a graphic coming up here in a minute about how little we foul. But we really promote not fouling. We feel like fouling, obviously, it gives the other team easy points. It puts your best players in foul trouble, which you want to avoid. But some of these concepts are, a big one here we have is pressure the picked up dribble. So you'll see, and I'll have some video come up here in just a second, as a guy's coming off and trying to make a pass, our defense, as soon as you see him going to make that pass, our hands are up, we're active, we're trying to get deflections that can lead to turnovers. We're a team that doesn't foul, yet we are one of the leaders in turnover percentage, turnovers forced, which we have another graphic of that coming up. So we're very disciplined but aggressive at the same time. So you'll see some of these clips here of these pressure the picked up dribble and these deflections we cause. So as they come off here, our kid, this is Marquise, that's getting up in this. As soon as he's going to make this pass and he knows he's going to pass, he's allowed to, be a little more, some might kind of consider it undisciplined, but we'll leave our feet and try to get these deflections. That's what we're trying to get all the time. So if we can get these deflections, now we know we can attack and we can push. And that's led to a lot of easy baskets. This game here, this Northern Iowa game, was a huge win for us. But it went to overtime. So all these little plays like this add up throughout the course of a game. Again, you'll see this is AJ Green, one of the best players, really in the country. He's an outstanding guard. But you can see as soon as he's going up to make that pass, we're telling our guys we're pressuring that picked up dribble. The second he goes and releases that pass, our hands are up. And if we can get a bunch of those, that another term that we have is we're putting doubt in the passer's mind. The deflections cause doubt. So now he might, as he's coming off this, the next time he comes off, he might not feel quite as comfortable to make this pass, to hit the roll guy. He's thinking twice because, man, I just turned that ball over. I don't want to have another back-to-back turnovers. I'm going to be a little safer with this pass, and it helps your defense out. But especially when you can get to right here, deflection, ball, and now we don't want the ball to hit the ground. So either this one comes up in just one dribble. You can count how many times it's, one dribble or no dribbles. We're flying up the floor and trying to create offense with our defense. So our big kid, Cam Krutwig here, that comes up. Cam is one of the best big men in the country, has been for a while. He was freshman of the year. His first year, he was back-to-back sophomore, junior year, first team all-league. He just has incredible hands, incredible knowledge, the best communicator I think we've ever really had. And he gets up there and just he can get deflections, not because he's the most athletic, but just because he has a really nice feel for how to play. And then our Canadian on the team, Ahir Ugwak, he's an awesome story actually. He went to New Mexico. I'm sure most of you guys probably have an idea who he is, but went to New Mexico, didn't really get a chance to play there. And then he was with us our Final Four year, but he had to sit out that year for transfer rules. So didn't get a chance to play really too much at New Mexico, then had to sit out a year, and then he's played with us the last 2 years. And he obviously had some big shoes to fill from that Final Four team, and really his first year playing. And he has grown so much and done – I mean, he's an incredible worker, awesome kid. He's 100% about winning. Every one of his statistical categories has increased since he's been here, and each year. And we're expecting a big year for him. I know he's back up there working hard. I just talked to him yesterday. He's anxious to get back here and get working. But he's another one on the defensive end. He's a menace because he's 6'7", he's long, he's athletic, really strong kid. And he gets out in the lanes, and you'll see here what he can do when he gets out in the lanes, because he runs hard and he beats people up the floor. He did that a ton for us. He's just very aggressive. We're a team that we love to have active hands, and we're constantly trying to put pressure on the defense, get downhill, get to the basket. We're constantly looking to do that. Even when we kind of mess up, again, the active hands just really, it's a big key for us to kind of, we say that's our defense is your admission ticket to the fast break, to get out and run. And then you'll see as our guys mindset is that when they get it and they push and they run, you'll see it here. He's right here on your screen. Watch him get out and run. And everybody on our team is very unselfish. They all want to push. You'll see, and once you can get your big guys running like Cam does here, he's a big kid, but he's a willing runner as well. And again, all unselfish guys that just want to pass and move the ball. Another thing with the defense is we say, show your hands. So you'll see Tate Hall is one of our defender here. As he's driving here, you see him showing his hands. Like we're constantly saying, don't foul, don't reach in. Seems like the points of emphasis each year with the officials are, cleaning up, the pace of play, to not letting hand checking guys. So we're telling our guys constantly, show your hands, show your hands. Officials usually come up to us and say like, hey, you guys do a really good job of not fouling, by showing your hands and, pressure the picked up dribble. Another one we have is reach for the lights. Like you'll see it a lot of times when a guy's dribbling in to try to score, and we tell our guys, don't have your hands or arms at an angle. Push them all the way up, straight up towards the lights, and don't foul. So that way they're taking those awkward shots. Those we call them tough twos. We want them shooting tough twos. The more we do this and just have active hands, we're not telling our guys, hey, go steal it from them. We're saying be active and trace the ball, be all over the ball, and they'll give it to us. And that's why we've created so many turnovers, especially these last couple of years. So you'll see here, Tate showing his hand, and that guy throws it right to us. So that's not us, reaching and grabbing and being too aggressive. That's just them giving us the ball. And again, once we get it, you see the herd mentality. Where you'll see another thing that's big with us is first three steps. The first three steps, we want to get out and run. You see everybody's running, putting pressure on the defense, and unselfish group pushing. This graphic here kind of illustrates the not fouling piece of what we do. This is the last 3 years, the top teams in the country and the least amount of fouls. So you'll see 17-18 was the Final Four year. Us, Notre Dame, has over the last 3 years, credit to them, they fouled the least. All 3 years we were number two, and then this past year, 19-20, you can actually see our number went down. We were 13.9 in 17-18. At 18-19 we're actually 13.8 19-20, but a few other teams have obviously jumped us a little bit. Virginia does a great job as well, but that's the big piece of not fouling. The reason that some of these things are obvious, some of them are extremely obvious. Obviously it keeps opponents off the free throw line. That's the easiest way. The highest shooting percentages are going to be free throw, points. So we're not, it keeps your opponents off the free throw line, getting them easy points. It allows for more transition opportunities because you're not slowing the game down. There's not, breaks, and there's not, all of a sudden they're shooting free throws or they're taking the ball on the side. When you're not fouling, it gets the play moving a little more fast paced, less stoppages of play. It can keep, whether it be your best players on the floor because they're not in foul trouble, but it also keeps everyone available to play big minutes. So all of a sudden we can play a lot of guys, a lot of minutes, and we can play more aggressive and faster because everybody's in in shape to go. So that's one of our biggest pieces of this not fouling. Again, some of the terms we use are pressure the picked up dribble, show your hands, reach for the lights, high active hands, deflections cause doubt. We're constantly saying those little terms and little phrases, and the guys kind of really pick up on it, and they believe in it. And once we start, and especially anything that you really want to promote, when you see it in film, really promote that, to your guys. And we do that. We're film junkies. We watch film all the time with our guys. We've even been watching it, during this quarantine, doing individual clips for the guys. And we really promote all these little things as we go along. So this is the not fouling. And again, here's another one. This is the turnover percentage. We're forcing a turnover, as it shows here, 11th in the country, 23.6% of possessions. We're forcing a turnover. So we're aggressive on the ball, yet we're still not fouling. In the last 3 years, we've only had 7 times where one of our guys fouled out of a game. So that's it's a pretty impressive stat. Like, we're really conscious of not doing that. I think that really helps us push and get it. It's a culture, it's a mindset of not fouling and then turning, those, but still being aggressive on the ball and causing deflections. I think that's been a huge advantage for us and something our guys really believe in. This first 3 steps concept is huge, especially with your guys running the wings and your bigs. And we think you can get separation from your defense if you go hard for 3 steps. We'll do it even if we're running sprints in practice. We'll say first 3 steps, go hard, because once you get past those first 3 steps are going to get you to the other side of half court, and then you're going to have to start breaking down. But those first 3 hard, long steps is when you can gain separation from a defender, separation from your team, and you can really push and be aggressive. So you'll see kind of, what we're talking about here. This is a here. I think this is this probably illustrates it the best. So we get a rebound and a here. Can you guys see my cursor when I do this? Reagan?
Yeah, we can always see the cursor when you're moving it there.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. All right, so here's a here right here. He's pushing as we get this rebound. Here's obviously 2 defenders right here, and watch him completely leave them in the dust as we move. So he just hits another gear, and look all the pressure that puts on the defense. Just those first 3 steps, and when we have a film session, we blow this up. Like, we make a big deal out of this first 3 steps. He just leaves everybody, and now it just puts so much pressure again on the defense to attack downhill. Oh, sorry, I should turn the volume off this. So again, we're getting deflection here. Now we're attacking. You see Tate here as soon as he notices we got the ball, he's gone. And again, this stems all the way back to practice. We get a turnover in practice, we're gone. We're flying up the floor. We're advance passing and looking, get downhill, get to the basket. So you'll see again, we're pushing here. Now here, as we attack here, we'll get into advance pass. We really believe in the advance pass as well. The ball moves faster through the air than it does on the ground. So again, watch a here. A here is up at the top of your screen, challenging the shot up here. And then he takes off. As soon as he sees we got the ball, he's gone. So now the back line of the defense has got to worry about him. So the guy that's at the bottom of your screen, he ends up being worried about him. He flies down and tries to take a here. Now we're using that advance pass. Now you're creating a ton of different angles, and now Marquise is attacking this defender who's stationary, and he's again pushing downhill at a stationary defender. Advance pass, but all that was created because of a here taking off and running the floor hard. He opened up this play for Marquise just by running hard those first 3 steps, getting out in transition. Your big guys, again, Crut gets a deflection here, and him and Robbins here are about at the same level once he gets this deflection. But watch how those first 3 steps, we have that much separation. Now you're putting, again, a lot of pressure on your defense. You're creating a lot of different numbers, and, reward the big guys when they run the floor like that. Again, this is this advanced pass. We really believe in the advanced pass. We think it creates a lot of different angles. It's an unselfish mindset. Sometimes with our offense, we basically have 1 through 4. We want to be interchangeable positions because we like to do a lot of switching on defense. We love our big guy, Cam. He's going to be a little bit different. He can push the ball up the floor occasionally. I think we do have 1 clip of him doing it. But 1 through 4, we want all of them to be able to handle the ball. This is a super simple concept, but we think if we can put 5 guys on the floor that can all dribble, shoot, and pass, you can be really hard to guard because now you don't know where the attack's coming from. So here, if for us, we don't really consider him 1 through 4. We don't really have that, but he would probably on a scouting report be considered a 4. But you'll see he brings the ball up the floor a ton for us. He's a skilled guy. He can bring the ball up the floor. He can pass. He can drive. He can attack. And this advanced pass puts people puts the defense in tough positions where they have to attack somebody, or you're driving a closeout to where they're at an angle. They can't level you off when you're coming full steam ahead at them. So here's a couple clips that kind of illustrate that. Now Tate's grabbing a rebound here, and now it goes to a here. So he's one dribble. And sometimes when you get, guys that are, different positions, they want to be like, oh, I don't get to be the point guard very often. I want to show that I can handle and, use a bunch of dribbles. Our guys don't even really think that way. They get it, and you'll see it here is one dribble and the ball's up the floor. So he catches it, one dribble, up the floor, one dribble, we're in the basket. That's how quickly we want to get out and play. We want to put pressure on the defense constantly. They have to put on their scouting report, man, you got to get back on transition defense because they're going to run. They're going to attack you. And we just have a bunch of guys that'll use that, advanced pass. So as soon as we get it, now we're attacking up the floor. Advanced pass, he didn't throw it to him right away, didn't have the angle right away. Now he gets it here, and now we're attacking downhill. This here is another big part of our culture is, nobody, in our team really cares who gets the credit, who makes the shot. They all know they're all going to get shots if they just play the right way and be aggressive and attack. We kind of illustrated that during that Final Four run. We had, 3 straight games where a different guy was hitting a game winner. Then we had a guy that hadn't hit a game winner, hadn't even made a lot of shots at all. And Ben Richardson made 6 threes and had his career high against Kansas State. And meanwhile, the guy that led us throughout the whole tournament was a guy that came off our bench. So it's a culture, it's a mindset of guys that they just care about winning. Whatever it takes to win. And you'll see here, like as we drive and attack here, that's a good shot for Pax there. He's a freshman, and he's got full reign to shoot that ball. He can go ahead and let that go, but he knows he's got a really good shooter and Tate coming right behind him. So we call that a one more pass to Tate. Another concept that we use, Drew Valentine's one of our assistants. He kind of got this from Greg Popovich and the Spurs. Is this? We call it 0.5. You have 0.5 seconds, a half a second, to either dribble, shoot, or pass. We don't want guys catching it and holding the ball for a long time and slowing things down. So whatever decision you make, you got 0.5. Just make a basketball read, make the right play. Pax right here, he's got an open shot, but he knows he's got a really good shooter coming in right behind him in Tate, who's got another open look. So we're constantly pass up a good shot for a better shot. It's just it's something we promote within the team. We'll do drills in practice like this as well, like basically just like this. We're in transition, push, attack, hit this guy. That guy can get a shot or throw no. Then we'll have managers and coaches, standing around like, all right, we'll get 3 or 4 shots up out of this. But it's the concept of drive downhill, attack, kick, and get it to the next guy. So we're constantly doing drills, shooting drills just like that in our practices. This is a good one to show the domino that can start. We always want to start the domino. So kind of like showing the full clip and then going back and breaking it down. As Tate gets it here, Tate's pushing now. He's being aggressive. Again, first 3 steps, you see these guys out running the wings hard. They're constantly, they get it. Now Bruno's got it here. He's got a guy coming on a closeout. We're trying to attack downhill again. He hits this gap right here. This creates the next open guy. So now again, they got a long closeout here off balance. They're not, this isn't an easy closeout. Now we're attacking downhill. We got Marquise, who was freshman of the year this year in the Valley. We've had a couple of those now in the last couple of years. Now he's attacking a big downhill and he uses a change of speed, change of pace, and get to the rim. But that all starts with Tate's hard push, Bruno's hard run on the wing, advanced pass, attacking downhill, attacking gaps. Here's another one. I really like this one with a here. So this is, again, as you can see, we've had almost a different guy bring the ball up the floor every single time. Like again, anybody can bring the ball up the floor. We want to be, very multifaceted like that. This one's going to Keith Clemens, who he actually missed. He won a junior college national championship, then had knee surgery, and he missed like our first 8 or 9 games. And we still won, I think, 22 last year, and he missed 8. Like if he would have played, I'm not sure, who knows how many we could have won. But he's another one he gets it. He's a point guard that's usually had the ball a lot in his hands, but he knows advanced pass. Get it to a here. He's downhill attacking the rim. But look at all the different things that are open. As a here gets here, he's got Tate wide open in the corner. Another big piece of what we'll do, and I think I got a slide coming up here in a second, is we tell the guys we want to sprint to the corners, use the whole floor. I'll kind of show you what I mean by that in the slide that's coming up, but we tell the guys don't run and stop short. Use the whole floor. Make them guard the entire floor, the entire half court. So we have multiple options here. Again, with that advanced pass, here's going to finish this at the rim, but he's got guy in the corner, so he easily could have made this pass right here to Tate. Let's say if this guy covers down, Tate's one more in here to Lucas for an open shot. Those are practice drills that we do. Those are things we do in our practice. Drive downhill, kick, one more. We're doing that in our practices all the time. Again, here's advanced pass. We kind of have a little bit of an uneven floor here. Basically what we want to do is we want to get really the 4 spots. The 2 corners are what we ultimately want to get covered, and then the other 2, top and wing guys, they can kind of work right off the lane lines. Those kind of 4 spots evened off the floor. It's going to kind of differ depending on where the defense is, so it's not cookie cutter every single time. We would love for our big man Crut, five man. We have 2 really good ones, Cam Crutwig and Frank Agonani. Frank can really run too. We want those guys rim running if they can. If they don't, we have a couple other offenses and different things we can do. But you can see again this advanced pass. It's not cookie cutter, but again, we're attacking downhill and getting to the rim. Those advanced passes keep the ball moving. Here's this corners filled concept. This is a picture of our facility when we have it kind of set up for practice. You can probably see there, it's kind of hard to see because it's a little pixelated, but there's a bunch of lines all over the floor. But one of the lines is right here in the corner. So our managers come and put a piece of tape on this every single day. When I worked for the Memphis Grizzlies, in their practice facility at the time, they actually painted in their practice facility court this thing a different color. Constant mindset of using the corners. They used to say bounce out of the corners, run to the corners, and then you can work out. The biggest reason, and you guys would probably notice this as you break down your tape, I'm sure you've had wings run up the floor and you have a really dynamic, fast point guard, that can get downhill and make plays, and he's pushing the ball up the floor and your guy stops like right here on the court. And as he's driving, his defender is sitting right here. So now he's trying to get downhill. The lane's clogged up, and when he kicks it to him, it's a short closeout for the guy, and you really don't get anything out of that. As opposed to your wing runs all the way down here and fills this corner. Now that drags the defense down into this area right here. Now your point guards and dynamic guards that can attack, they can get downhill and get deeper into this area. Now when you have really good 3-point shooters, and we got a ton of them, we have one of the best, especially this year, we have two kids sitting out that are really good 3-point shooters that are going to be able to stroke it this year. As he's getting downhill into here, if this is a big time 3-point shooter, you gotta shade him and get closer to him, and that allows our guards like Marquise and Keith and Ahir to get to the basket and finish. If they do jump in there and help, those are an easy pass, kick out, but it's a longer closeout, for this guy to get out here and challenge this shot. So this fill in the corners thing, we really push and emphasize that. I actually think we need to do a better job of it, hopefully this season with all the weapons we have. But it's an easy thing, for you guys to do. If you have a piece of tape and you can lay it down, it's easy for your practices to kind of make that emphasis as a coach. But it's also, an easy thing to show in film. Like all of a sudden, like, hey, guys are like, I did run to the corner. Well, no, you didn't. This is the corner. Some guys will think, I run in here is far enough. Really emphasize them running to the corners. It's going to open up so much more space on the floor for your guys that can drive and get downhill. And we want those guys to get downhill and attack, mainly because, with all the hand check rules, it's hard to guard guys in transition and on closeouts and different stuff like that when you have guys that can attack. In terms of your bigs, we want our bigs to get down. If they can be the first big down and get there and get an early post up, that's ideal world for us, because Crut and even Frank, when they get down there, they can be an absolute tear down there. So we're constantly pushing, like, get down there, get an early post up. Probably the biggest thing we draw the most on those is fouls. Crut draws a ton of fouls when we get down into the lane and get him that early post touch. here's a couple of them. This is just, once the floor is kind of uneven here and there's nobody filling the corner, so Marquise is just he's gonna fill that wing spot. You bring it all the way down there, and if he can see, we say show your numbers. If he can see Crut's numbers and the block there, he's getting that ball every single time. Deliver it to him. So again, we try to have the floor a little, as balanced as we can, and then we're trying to get an early post touch. We're putting pressure on the defense quite a bit. Again, first 3 steps, you'll see Crut here in the middle. He's going to beat everybody up the floor and push. So again, the corner isn't filled, the wing isn't filled, so Tate's going to bring it all the way down. Another key concept, if you guys that do have post players that are pretty good around the block, here's a concept that I think is pretty good. Like their guy is almost in a front. It's a hard 3/4, but it's basically a front. We'll tell our guys, if they're willing to fight you that hard, on the block, and they want to, front you and not let you catch the ball that much, we'll tell Crut, let them do that and set them up for the next pass. So you'll see guys kind of fill in the spots here. So as Tate brings it up the wing here, he wants to get this ball to Crut. He knows how the defense is being guarded. The person we want to get the ball right now is Keith. He's in our trail spot right here. Again, all 4 spots are interchangeable. They kind of know, where they're going. The key to this high-low pass that we're about to get here, and I'll show you the end of the play here before I show you the breakdown. The first one is Crut coming down here, and he's setting his man up. At this point now, he knows he's fronted. He's going to make it. Coach Majerus would say make and maintain contact. He's going to sit on his guy, and he's going to hold him right there. He's already won his positioning battle at this point. He knows where it's at. The key now is ideally we don't want to make this pass right here. We would want to go directly to this trail spot right here. If we can go direct here to here, we get the high-low pass. If you end up going back to a here and then to Keith, it's not wrong, but it gives this guy, 1 or 2 extra seconds. Even as slow, this slows up this pass one more time to where that gives this guy a little bit more time to fight around. If we go direct like Tate does here, he comes up and goes direct to that spot. Keith knows exactly where he's going with that ball. So he put a lot of pressure. Keith's already in his spot. He's ready to pass. He already knows where Crut's going, and that's another thing that we'll break down in practice quite a bit as well. This is like I said, we don't normally have Crut bring it up, but he's capable of doing it. And again, when you have a bunch of guys on the floor that are really skilled like that, you can be really hard. 5 men aren't used to stopping the ball like that. When all of a sudden when that breaks down, obviously it's easy. You love advancing and trying to get an easy basket here and there, and it's fun to shoot layups and that. But defenses are going to be good. They're not going to let you do that. So here's a couple different things that we will flow into. And a lot of this is when Krutwig isn't the first big down. If he doesn't beat his man up the floor, he's kind of in a trail position. We'll do this little action right here. So now. Keith's bringing the ball up the floor. We're kind of evened off on the other side. We kind of space away, and now we're just going into side, wing ball screen right here. So we're playing right off this wing ball screen. Keith does a really good job of shaking him right here, and he's got this shooting opportunity. There's a couple other concepts that we do that we think are really good as well. Let's say if Keith on this. And you'll see Keith's gonna on the next play, he kind of refuses it, and then we set a rescreen. But if Keith were to beat his guy baseline, we always give our guys the right of refusal. You can always reject the ball screen. That's always an option. The guard's always got to have that option. That's to keep that defense honest. If he were to attack and go here on this baseline drive, normal defense, this guy right here is going to come over and help, right? So that's going to leave Tate wide open. Sometimes this guy right here will go and, he'll kind of, we call it an X out defensively. He might go and take Tate. So we tell our middle guy right here, which is a here, he's going to dive right here to the rim. So now this guy's got to make a decision. He's in help here. Is he worried about a here dive into the basket, or is he worried about Tate open 3 in the corner? So this is just a little simple concept where this guy's diving, and this guy's we say this is a drive and drift. He's always in this drift spot. Stay in the corner. Give him an option in the corner as he drives baseline. Another thing that we'll do off this too, and it kind of it kind of flows with this guy's concept. If he comes off this ball screen, he can come off and hit Marquise here. Instead, he's doing the same thing. He's diving, but he might set a down screen, and we get this lift 3, which you'll see one of those here in a second as well. But just this wing ball screen, he's bringing it up the side, and our 5-man's trailing. You see, Tom up here on the top of the screen. He recognizes the floor is a little unbalanced to where Frank's going to go set a screen. So now he's going to go balance the floor on the weak side. Again, right of refusal is always there. And now we come and Frank's going to come and set this screen. Quick under, and we work on that shuttle out as well. Not sure how you guys have seen ball screens being guarded, but we've seen a ton of people going under the screens more and more, especially the last 2 years. So we really promote, our guards, and we really work on our guards. Like, hey, if they're going to go under the screen, work on that shot right there. It's not an easy shot. It's something you definitely have to work on and get used to and get better at. But our guys, especially Keith here, he's done a great job with it. But we really practice that shot quite a bit as guys go under screens. But it's something you can kind of flow into, which is kind of nice. Here we set it again, that wing ball screen. Again, there's that down screen that Ahir was setting here. And now we're kind of getting the defense a little scrambled. Now we're attacking. I think this is just a simple concept, but they end up being hard to guard, especially if you don't against teams that don't switch. We just call this a butt cut. So Lucas gets the ball, throws it to him, and he's just going to dive out of there. It's not a screen or anything. He's just diving and getting out of there and creating all this big open area. There's a lot of space to drive. So now as he gets downhill, Ahir is one of the best screeners that we've ever coached. He's outstanding. He just kind of gets it. He just has a really good feel for when he's got a shooter below him and his guy is loaded up. So, you see Isaiah Brown's a very good defender right here. Again, we're attacking this big open area. And now Ahir is going to come down and set this good screen and open up for a great shooter. So as he comes off, and it's just concepts and making reads. Again, butt cut, attack the open area, down screen, open up for a good shooter. And a lot of these aren't plays, it's just attacking. This is a little one that we put in that I think can be really good. You can really attack off this. It's just this little flare screen. Again, we want our big to get down and try to get a post touch, but he doesn't get it on that. He's trailing the play. If this is going to happen with your bigs at times, but this is just a little simple screen that can cause a lot of confusion. So all of a sudden you hit, and then you're coming in with this 5-man setting a quick flare. So as he sets his quick flare, is he going over or under? What's his read? Sometimes you'll see him right there, and he goes under like he does, and that's a good shooter. That's a big time. It's a very simple step in and shoot, but it's just right out of the transition. It's not a play. It's not a read. It's just a read. We're not calling plays in transition. We're just always looking to apply pressure. That little flare screen with the trail man is really good. This is kind of how we finish this action. This is a little play that we have that we think is good. So we throws it. Again, we're setting this flare screen. And this time, they didn't want to let Keith get it. So they're going to chase Keith hard over the top. We're going to tight curl him all the way to the rim. That's first option. Tate kind of gives up on it a little too early here because if he kind of pass fakes this curl at the rim, a lot of times will be open. But now the movement starts. You got to have a lot of movement in your offense. That's the hardest thing to guard. So this play is going to come all the way back to Keith. So now as Krutz got it here, we're a hard dive. This creates confusion on switching. It puts now you'll see as we get back to a handoff here, and again we have a bunch of different options that are coming into our play here. So first of all, think of all the stuff that this kid right here had to guard. He came up, he had to stop the ball. Now he's got to guard a flare. Then a tight curl, he's got to catch up and make sure he doesn't get that. Now he's got a guy running at him here. Meanwhile, he's got to guard a dribble handoff. He gets caught up in that, and now we're attacking downhill. Again, as you see, we get to this 3 sides on the floor. Three guys on this side. This guy knows as he comes off here, if he were to refuse, he's diving to the rim for a basket. As he comes off here, he's diving in here for a screen. So he's going to get to the rim and finish. But we also have Lucas coming up here on a down screen. If here could have set a little bit of a better one on this one, but you also have Lucas open on this side too. So just a lot of different options off this one play. Again, just this little simple flare concept. If your big's trailing the play, he's behind it. Just that quick little flare concept, and now just a lot of movement, a lot of cutting, attacking downhill, and unselfishness. And that's just a lot of different little things we do. I put this little thing at the end here that if you want to either follow me, I try to retweet and follow some guys that run some good offensive stuff. And if you guys ever want to email me and you have any concepts and stuff you want to ever talk about, I'd love to do that. If you guys are ever coming down to Chicago, we'd love to have you come check out a practice. Coach Moser is completely has an open door policy on that. Loves having people come down and check out the campus and watch our practices and see what we have going on. So feel free to reach out at any time. That is that's all I had with that portion. I don't know if that helped or if you guys have any questions or how you want to play off that.
Well, Coach, first of all, thank you very much. That was fantastic. I know, again, I can only speak personally, but it solidified a lot of things that I've been thinking about for my coming season, and so I really appreciate it. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So when you're talking about filling corners, something I'm a big proponent of that I try and do with my team, is it specific guys that you want to fill the corners, or is it first men down the floor?
I kind of more so first men down the floor because we want that 1 through 4 for us. We've kind of recruited this way is to be interchangeable parts. We tried because we kind of feel like if one guy is like, oh, I can only run the right wing, or I'm only the trail spot. I know sometimes when you play a little bit bigger lineups and stuff, you might not want one of those guys in the corners because that's, those are obviously, 3-point shooting areas. But ideally we want to get to those 4 spots as quick as we possibly can. So we're more so, first guys that get out and fill the wings and get to those spots. That's more of the mindset.
Now, as you guys are running and pushing, are there any rules for you guys in shooting transition threes? Do you got to get a paint touch first? Often X drive and kick, are there any rules for your transition threes?
No, I mean we want guys to take open looks. If you're open, we want to take those, and that's actually going to be even more of an emphasis we have this upcoming season. We want to get good looks in transition threes. Now, what's tricky when you're a coach though is all of a sudden it's a guy that maybe he doesn't shoot it quite as well, so maybe you don't want that guy taking quite as many shots. There is also time and score. We're constantly talking about that. If we're up by 7 with 2 minutes left, no, you probably don't want to take that one. You want to think time and score, attack at the right time, the smart time. So but we want our guys to be aggressive. We want them to have a mindset. We don't want them second guessing. We want them looking to score, looking to take shot. If you're open and you're a good shooter, we want you taking that and ripping it. And we might have something along the lines of, all right, if we've missed 3 or 4 in a row, now our mindset is paint touch. And especially because you got a guy like Cam Krutwig, if you throw it into him, he's also one of the best passers in the country. You're going to get it back out. You're going to get a good look. So we might have that concept as we go a little bit more into it. But if our guys have open looks, we want them shooting it.
Well, perfect. So again, you talked earlier when you were talking about your experience in the game and where you've coached and been. What are some of the, some of the similarities yet some of the differences? Like, kind of, what are some of the things that jump out to you as differences between the NCAA level, the NBA level, and then even relate it back to, how that shapes what you guys look for in recruiting?
Yeah. The game, the biggest differences are, the way in terms of the NBA, like the way you can play defense. Like, you can't load up, you can't, you put the game is geared towards offense, a lot in the NBA, and the defensive 3 seconds and all that is designed for that. So that's when you can be a little more, you can be a little more aggressive offensively. So that part, is probably the biggest difference in how you're able to guard people, at that level compared to college and on down. But the concepts of pushing and attacking, I feel like that, is really, college has tried to take more of the NBA style of shooting more threes and attacking and getting downhill and playing more interchangeable parts, offensively. I think that's, it seems like, those, especially 1 through 4 in the NBA is a lot different. You see, a lot of guys, especially like that, and even point guards, but especially that 2 through 4 is all somewhere, in college, it's probably somewhere between 6'3" and 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". In the NBA, it's like 6'7" to 6'9". That 2 through 4 positions where they're all interchangeable parts, and those 3 and D guys. That's a pretty popular concept and term used right now, but those are pretty universal. We're constantly looking for guys that are skilled but can defend 1 through 4. That's the whole goal, is try to find as many guys on the floors that can do multiple things like that.
Fantastic. Well, let's go with a Chicago question. So, being from Chicago and with The Last Dance coming out and being all the buzz and all the rage, and I'm obviously personally a big Jordan and Bulls fan. Growing up, what was it like to relive those things for you, being someone who grew up in Chicago, and what were your takeaways from watching that series?
Well, I tell you, for me, it was awesome. Because quarantine has been a killer. Like, what do we watch on TV? Like, I don't even know. Like, I'm trying to find TV shows and stuff to watch, but the fact that for 5 straight Sundays we had something to look forward to on TV was huge for me. Like, it didn't even have to. The fact that it was the Bulls was just a bonus on top for me. But yeah, I grew up during that era. I was young, but I believe I was in my freshman year of high school was the 98 season, the final season. So I was grammar school growing up. And I mean, I literally remember every night, it's like, especially the 72 win campaign, it was must-see TV every night. 82 times a year, you're coming home and you're watching the Bulls. Like, it didn't matter. You were making sure your homework was done, whatever practice. I was mad if we had a practice, almost during when the Bulls were playing. Like, I absolutely loved that team. It was what everybody in Chicago was doing at the time. It really was, as you can tell, like, as it was across the world, they were selling out every road game that they went to. But just some of the things when you mentioned takeaways, we're big on that too. We had all our guys talk about their takeaways from The Last Dance and just what it took to overcome and what it took to be a champion. That team, when you go back through the late 80s, when they went up against Detroit and they were just getting beat up 3 straight years, they couldn't, overcome that hill, that mountain that was Detroit, and how good that team was, and that they kept that mindset of, no, we're going to overcome this. We're going to get past this. And the battles they had to go through, whether it be in practice and everything, you could just tell the games they had lost, like, they were broken down. They were upset. And I'll never forget it. I mean, it was Jordan after the loss in '95 too. But when they lost to Detroit the last time, it's like, all right, what do you guys want to do? Like, when do you want to get back and start working out? And they're like, tomorrow. Like, let's go back. Let's get in the weight room. Let's put on the strength. Let's put on the muscle. Let all that hard work. It was all worth it. Like, and I think back to our Loyola team and what all the hard work it took for the first handful of years to get to that championship level. When you get to that point, you're cutting down nets, everything is just completely and utterly worth it. All the hard work, everything, the grind, the sweat, the hard times, the tough practices, the tough conversations, everything is worth it when you get to that championship level. And you get to experience that, a bond and in memories that you'll never forget, that especially all these guys that are on our team, but that 2018 Final Four group there, we call them Loyola legends. They'll be able to come back to this campus and be able to celebrate and be celebrated every time they come back. And when I see the winning and all that, like, it brings you back to 2018 too. So
that's so I know one of my biggest regrets in life is I didn't get to see Michael Jordan play in person. Did you have that privilege at some point to be able to see 23 in the flesh?
I did, but again, I was young. I was grammar school, and it was only a couple of times, maybe once or twice, because those tickets were a beast in Chicago. Like, you weren't getting Bulls tickets. Bulls tickets weren't just floating around. Like, you had you had to know some people to get some Bulls tickets, especially at the time. And you know, I went to more Blackhawks games as a kid. I have 3 much older brothers, and they all had season tickets to the Blackhawks. So I went to a ton of Blackhawks games in the Chicago Stadium, which was one of the greatest places ever to catch a live sporting event. That place was the loudest place ever. But to get to see Mike in person, yeah, I wish I would have got to do it a lot more, and I wish I was a little bit older too. So.
No, for sure. Well, yeah, I know you're speaking to Canadians here. So again, our hockey. You know, as much as it's not my favorite sport in the world, it's when it's time for an Oilers game up here in Edmonton, and we've got Calgary folks on with us too, and it's a Flames game. I'm sure it's the same way, even though the Oilers are better than the Flames. I mean, we don't need to get into that conversation. But
am I right that if the NHL is able to get back and get started, that with the amount of teams they're bringing back, that it's going to be Edmonton versus Chicago in
the first round? Yeah, Edmonton, Chicago is what we're looking at.
Well, I'm all about
the chances of Edmonton being one of the host cities though is pretty good. So, so we might have a little bit of a bit of an advantage there. So, but the Hawks have had tremendous success with Taze and Kane, and they've had a heck of a run there. But I think it's time for McDavid and Draisaitl. We'll say that.
Yeah, well, you got a heck of a young group up there for that. So that'd be fun. That'd be fun to see a little Edmonton Chicago battle. I'd love to have it down here for that. So
yeah. well, hopefully you can make it back down there sooner than later. But we'll keep him in Edmonton for a little while longer. So
all right.
Does anyone else have any questions for Coach Gordon this evening? Throw them in the chat or unmute your mic and feel free to jump on if you have any other questions.
Was I supposed to be checking the chat or anything? I don't.
No, don't worry. I'm on top of that for you.
Oh, okay,
I didn't have anything in the chat there. So
okay.
But no, again, Coach, thank you very much. Like I said, again, and as we talked before, if you can take 1, 2, maybe 3 things away from an evening, but I know for me this was great. Again, solidifying a lot of thoughts I had, and I know for other coaches, I'm sure it was great as well. So again, appreciate your time, and again, we'll say go Oilers, and and I'm very jealous of your opportunities to see MJ and the Bulls in person, even though it was as a young person. So thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate your time, and all the best to you and the rest of the squad for the upcoming year.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. I love talking ball and all that stuff. So again, and if any of you guys are ever coming down to Chicago, we'd love to have you come by practice. And I see all the thank yous popping up here. Well, thank you guys. Honestly, it's awesome that our game has grown so much, basketball especially. From all over the world, and in Canada, it really seems like it's growing a ton up there, and just the different opportunities that you're providing to kids. I think that's really important. They have another awesome outlet and another awesome way to get education too, which I think that's important as well for the kids. And basketball being what it is, I love just the fact that we're learning and trying to teach kids and getting kids better. I think that's what all this is about. We're trying to be good with kids during a formative part of their lives, and I think that's it's important to me anyway, with what we're doing down here. But thank you for jumping on. Thank you for having me. And again, if you're ever down in Chicago, please swing by. We'd love to have you.
Well, you never know. I might just have to take you up on that.
Come on down.
All right. Love to be there. All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Reagan. Take care, everyone.
Have a great night.